Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your girl, Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. Thank you. Oh, hey, Rob Potter. Okay, wait. I'm gonna do my introduction, and then I'll go live. Hi, Michael B. Okay, so anyway, I'm Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. You have tuned into episode 171 of the Curvy Film Critic with Carla Renata. If this is your first time joining me, please give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. If you're on YouTube, click that bell for notifications. Otherwise, please subscribe to the channel. You never know who you might see here. You never know who I might see here. So let me just say hello to everybody in the chat room. It's a full house today. Hi, Kenneth Williams. Hi, Rob Potoff, my good friend. Hi, Michael B. And of course, Brandon. Yes. So what I usually do is I usually start out the show talking about what my week was like. And since I wasn't here for July 4th, happy belated July 4th to everyone. I hope you had a wonderful, safe, happy holiday. I had some barbecue that I made on my little grill. So there's that. But what I did do last week was I did a lot of moderating of panels and stuff last week. And so one of the things that I did was moderate a panel with Carlos Lopez Estrada. So I do a lot of work for NALIP, which is an organization, National Association of Latino International Producers. I do a lot of work with them. And so I usually, moderate panels for them and all kinds of stuff. So I did one for them for a film that they have coming, that Carlos has coming out, called Summertime. It's actually out, and it's a spoken word documentary. And one of the young ladies that was involved in it, her name is Paulina. She had this one piece that was called Red Lipstick that I absolutely love. So check your local listings for Summertime, directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada, and then tune into the NALIP Media Summit. So go to nalipmediasummit.com and you can see the schedule of which day our panel is going to air there. I also did a Q&A for the Bentonville Film Festival. You guys know I do a lot of Q&As for them. I did one for a film called The Daphne Project and another one called Catch the Fair One. And I also got a sneak peek of two really, really cool movies that are coming out by Warner Brothers. I can't wait to tell y'all about it, but that's really all I can say about it. I also saw a film, not a film, but, live theater has been on pause like everything else during the pandemic. And the New Normal Theater hooked up with Nicole Salter, and they produced I don't know if it was a live version or a taped version of a play that she wrote called Lions in the Dust, which is a socioeconomic commentary with all these stories of diverse voices, and they put them together that talks about how we hold the communities and the cultures together. It was an interesting little it was an interesting little watch. If you want to check it out, please go to the New Normal website and you can check out everything there. All right, so before we get into the reviews for this week, let's take a little trip. Hold on, I'm doing this by myself today, so it's going to take a little longer to get to some stuff. Let's take a little trip around the curve. Hey, let's take a trip around the curve. Lovecraft Country may not be coming to Netflix, but that didn't stop Misha Green from inking an overall deal with Apple. Get it, girl. Quentin Tarantino is now the proud new owner of the Vista Theater in Los Angeles, and coming soon from Magic Johnson, Apple Studios, Mandalay's Peter Guber, and Oscar nominee Ron Shelton, they just secured the rights to If You Were Only White, the life of Leroy Satchel Paige. Tony and Emmy Award-winning singer-actress LaChanze will return to Broadway this fall, starring in the Roundabout Theater's Trouble in Mind by Alice Childress, to be directed by Charles Randolph Wright. Greta Gerwig is directing and writing a screenplay with hubby Noah Baumbach for a flick centered around Barbie, starring Margot Robbie. According to The Wrap, Doug Belgrade, Rod Lurie, and Scott Conray have teamed up for an untitled film based on the true story of how independent journalist blogger Claire Rucastle Brown blew the lid off the Malaysian financial swindle. Fans of the escape room will get a chance to experience the thrilling and terrifying Mind of Minos, an escape room tournament of champions experience located at the corner of Hollywood and Vine. If you're in LA, Javier Bardem is set to star in the Will Speck, Lyle Crocodile for Sony Pictures. Uzo Aduba and Matthew Broderick will lead the cast of Painkiller at Netflix, and Henry Cavill, Sam Rockwell, Bryce Dallas Howard, Bryan Cranston, Dua Lipa, Samuel L. Jackson, John Cena, Catherine O'Hara are all set to star in new Matthew Vaughn's spy franchise Argyle. Arsenal will be the next subject of Amazon's All or Nothing docuseries, following the North London club throughout the 2021-22 season and exited the Europa League in the semifinals. TriStar Pictures has tapped Oscar winner Bill Condon to direct the latest screen adaptation of Guys and Dolls. You remember that one that starred Marlon Brando singing. Also, rest in peace to Paul Huntley, the premier stage, film, and TV wig maker who provided coiffes for Tootsie, Cats, and Cruella de Vil. Also, Robert Downey Sr. has passed away, and Suzanne Douglas, star of Tap, The Parenthood, and How Stella Got Her Groove Back. This week on The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, we are talking all things Black Widow. We're going to hit a little boss baby family business action, and I got a little bit of scoop about the Summer of Soul, Questlove's first directorial debut, and baby Tiffany Haddish is swimming with the sharks. So stay tuned. That's it for this episode of Around the Curve. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed that little trip around the curve. I sure did. All right, so let's get right into it. The first film I'm going to review today is Boss Baby Family Business. It's produced by NBC Universal, and it is directed by Tom McGrath. It follows the Templeton brothers as after they have become adults. They've drifted away from each other, but a new boss baby with a cutting-edge approach is about to bring them together again, aka Tabitha, and inspire a new family business. You can't stop them, but every once in a while you get a second chance. You can't stop time, but every once in a while you get a second chance is the big theme of this particular film. I really loved it. I watched it with my mom, and my mother was like, this is a really great film to show really young parents about, how to navigate that line when you have two little ones around the house, and one of them is starting to grow out of needing you, because parents go through this, and I'm not a parent, but my mom is. And we had a discussion about the fact that, when you're a parent, you go through this phase where your child gets older and they don't want to play with you. They don't need you as much, and it makes you feel some kind of way. So that is a good portion of the gist of this particular film. Tabitha bouncing around that room made me dizzy, but it was kind of hilarious. They deal with this whole, it also deals about this formula that turns grownups into a baby for 48 hours. And they do that to find out what Dr. Armstrong is really up to. He's trying to get rid of parental units all over the place and have the world run by babies and only babies. It's hilarious. I mean, when they had a Mentos volcano, I was like, I cannot. One of the other things that I really liked about watching is they had this moment where they were fighting over a baby bottle to the tune of Time Warp from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was all about that. And at the end of the day, childhood doesn't last forever, but family really does. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see Boss Baby Family Business and you can't get to a theater, or you don't want to go to a theater, it is streaming on the Peacock channel if you have a subscription there. And you can also go to a theater and see it. It's called Boss Baby Family Business. Let me check in with y'all about this in this chat room. Yeah, Michael B., I was kind of shocked about Suzanne Douglas passing away too. She was like, her and Gregory Hines were like my Fred and Ginger in that movie called Tap, because I had never seen people of color on screen like that before. And that film got horrible reviews. It starred Gregory Hines, Sammy Davis Jr., all of the premier tap dancers, Bunny Briggs, Harold Nichols, like all the greatest hoofers in the world were in that film. and it got really bad reviews. But I really loved it, and I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe it was the last time that Sammy Davis Jr. was on the silver screen in a movie before he died from lung cancer. But yeah, I was really shocked about that too, Michael B. And Brandon, you have just been working yourself to a tizzy, huh? You've been watching Disney Plus, checking out all kinds of things like Monsters at Work. Good for you. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to talk a little bit about Monsters at Work next week. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up. So like I said in the preview, I'm going to talk a little bit about Black Widow, which I'm going to get into right now. So Black Widow was directed by Kate Shortland from Marvel Studios, and it's basically a backstory of Natasha Romanoff and her family. Now, Natasha Romanoff was one of the Avengers. And you remember when they had that big snap in that last Avengers movie, everybody disappeared. So it left, Marvel fans, Avengers fans wondering what happened to all those characters. Did they die? Did they go into another alternate universe? We've already seen what's happened to some of them in WandaVision and Loki with the Disney Plus TV series. And now we have Black Widow. Now, the Black Widow movie probably should have happened a long time ago. The first time we saw Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow was in 2011, but now she has her own movie, and it's about damn time, if you ask me. That's all I got to say about that. But this is what I want to tell you about Natasha's story. So Natasha was one of the Red Room's first recruits and selected by Stalin personally. Over the years, there have been many suggestions why the Red Room gave their girls that code name, and it's usually based on the idea that Black Widows are seductive assassins. According to the urban myth, the Black Widow female always kills the male after copulating. While this is often the case, scientists have seen examples of male Black Widows surviving. Either way, that is not where the name originates. So let's just get that out of the way before we start talking about Black Widows and whatnot. But we're basically not going to talk about Black Widows. I remember I interviewed Scarlett Johansson once, and I was like, talking to her about Black Widow, and she was like, yeah, I can't mention her by Black Widow. I got to call her Natasha. I agree. So let's finish talking about Natasha. This is a backstory of Natasha and her family, which includes Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, her mom, Melina, played by Rachel Weisz, and her dad, Alexei. The first 10 minutes of this film with that with that insane plane chase with people on the wing with a shootout, and the stunts are insane. It's worth the price of admission alone, that first 10 minutes. It's got family issues. We got daddy-daughter issues. We got mommy-daughter issues. We got a dad that's jealous of Captain America and trying to squeeze himself into a superhero costume. It's pure comedy. But more than anything, what I really love about Black Widow is that it shows that women are fighting to make their own choices and not be mind controlled by men. There's this whole montage that happens in the beginning where it's a passing of time. So we don't waste a whole lot of time on unnecessary dialogue with the backstory. We just get right into it and get right to the point. And I kind of appreciated that. So if you guys have not seen Black Widow, it started streaming and was in theaters beginning July 9th, which was this past Friday. If you haven't seen it, trust me. Look, they delayed this film at the beginning of the pandemic, and baby, let me tell you something. It is well worth the wait, for real, for real. Okay. All right. So I know last time I was here, I was talking a lot about We the People. It's not a docuseries, but it's kind of like Schoolhouse Rock. And I told y'all it was kind of like Schoolhouse Rock. But the last time we were here, I showed an interview with her and Peter Ramsey and Chris Nee, who produced in the whole series. And Peter Ramsey directed the episode that had her in it. But this week, I have rapper KYLE and the guy who directed his episode, Tim Rauch. So I'll talk a little bit more about it after we take a look and a listen to this interview with KYLE and Tim Rauch from We the People.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
How y'all doing? I'm good. I cannot complain. I just wanted to say I love We the People. It brought me back to my childhood watching Schoolhouse Rock. I used to love that. That was my jam. But the difference between this one and Schoolhouse Rock is Schoolhouse Rock did a lot of dialogue, and We the People is mostly music and different types of music. So I'll start with Tim first. What made you go that route to just have it be musically? Because I know that, the attention span nowadays is a little different.
Yeah, well, I think music always it's eternal, right? We all have been making music since we were cavemen banging rocks on the floor. So I think there's something irresistible about song, right? And that, and especially you're trying to reach people at an age group where music, they really care about music, and as they should. And we're talking about a lot of really dense information that can feel boring if you stretch it out too long. But if you can make it a 3.5 minute thing, really compact, that's layered too. Like I expect our audience hopefully go back and rewatch some things and go, okay, I watched it one time, I enjoyed it, but let me watch it again and see if I can really learn the facts that are in there.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of times myself because I'm like, I feel like I missed some stuff. Like the first time I was just excited. And then the second time I just kind of saw some little things here and there. Kyle, yours is talking about taxes, which I'm like, oh, really? We gonna talk about taxes right now? But is there anything, because for me, I forgot that taxes started with the American Revolution. Was there something about taxes that you learned going into this that you had forgotten or didn't know in the process of you getting your music together for this one?
Right. So what I did learn about it is that, how different each state decides to do their taxes. I happen to live in California, which unfortunately is on a little bit of the heavier side of that.
Yeah, I live in LA.
Yeah, and I never complained about it until I started realizing how many states don't have, some states don't even have like a real like state tax like that. So just certain things about taxes that I was educated on through making this song, and how different states decide to do it differently. I was like, should I move to Nevada? I don't know, but I feel like I should.
It's a tax-free state, dude. Especially if you got property, that's the place to go. Why you playing?
For real.
Tim, this is not your first foray into animation. You like an old school dude when it comes to animation, right?
Yeah, I've been around a little while. Yeah.
You've been around for a minute. I loved how you made the little cat talking and telling the story. What was the impetus behind that? Did you and Kyle collaborate on that? What the person was gonna, or what the entity was gonna look like that's telling the story, or did you just kind of do your thing?
So slight shift. I think you're thinking of Corday's track with Victoria Vincent, with the taxes and the cat. The track I did with Kyle is federal and state government. And when I got the track from Kyle, it has this great like duet quality where it starts off contentious, they're fighting, and they're talking out their issues, right? It's a love song. And eventually they realize, oh no, we kind of need each other after they've both made their statement of like, here's what I do, and no, here's what I do. And well, what can we do together? And trying to think about how to represent that. For federal government, we have all these icons like the Statue of Liberty or the bald eagle or whatever. But for state government, we don't have any kind of singular catchy thing, right? We got maybe some things for each state, but if you want to represent all of them as a group with one entity, I couldn't come up with anything. So honestly, I went with the simplest thing. I Googled Kyle and was just looking at pictures of Kyle, and I was like, he's wearing something that looks like a varsity jacket in a lot of these photos. And you can just write things on a varsity jacket. So if you just say federal and state, you know who you're talking about.
I love that. I peeped that. I really did. And please accept my apologies for mixing the two. I'm just excited. So I'm just like, let me ask this. Let me talk about it. I go there. But I wanted to thank you guys before my time is up for bringing such a vital piece of information to the screens for people to enjoy. It's going to reinvigorate the younger generation to learn more about how the government works, what it does, how they can get involved. And I don't think that there's a better way to do it than what you guys have done with We the People. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for covering it and sharing it with everybody.
Yeah, I'm the biggest cheerleader you got. Trust and believe. All right. Bye. Thank you. Yes, trust and believe. I am the biggest cheerleader that you got. So again, you guys, We the People started streaming on Netflix on July 4th, ironically enough, on Independence Day. I see that you're a big fan of Schoolhouse Rock, just like I am, Michael B. And you said I can see my nephews rewatching We the People. You love number 9 and Conjunction Junction. Oh, yeah. It was, I really liked it, and I think that you're right. Your nephews are going to be watching this for years and years and years to come. And I love how y'all be having side conversations. So Brandon is all excited about the What If trailer and the anticipated MCU Marvel shows on Disney Plus. I am too. Trust and believe. All right. So next, I want to talk about Tomorrow War. But before I get into Tomorrow War, let me just say this. There seems to, apparently, I was named a top critic on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't even know how that happened or why it happened, but it did. But I didn't know about it until some people started trolling me and reading me about my review, specifically about the Tomorrow War. Now, sometimes when I write these reviews, it's late at night, my eyes are crossed, I'm tired. I have double checked and triple checked some of these articles that I write. But then again, some of them are just laden with typos. Some of them have a few typos here and there. And I don't have a team. It's just me. So I proofread it the best I can. But I'm going to start doing them early in the morning because I don't want this happening anymore. But a couple of people hit me up about the Tomorrow War. Some people were mad because they said, I love this and I love that. Let me tell you something. My opinion is my opinion. I'm entitled to it. Just like you're entitled to come over to my page and troll me and say the things that you said. I respect what you said. You need to respect what I say. You don't have to agree with me and you don't have to like what I said, but you need to respect the fact that I have an opinion and not be coming over to my page slandering me like you have lost the last bit of good sense that you got left. So if you didn't see this, I am happy to repost it for you so that you can watch it, because I will not tolerate any trolling. I will not tolerate any cyberbullying. I am about love and light and watching movies and telling people about movies that love movies too. So having said that, let's get into the Tomorrow War. It is directed by Chris McKay for Amazon Studios, Amazon Prime Video. It stars Chris Pratt and Yvonne Strahovski. You know Chris Pratt from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. You know Yvonne Strahovski from Dexter. You know her from The Handmaid's Tale. You know her from so many different things, right? But when I tell you my girl then left The Handmaid's Tale over in a corner somewhere and she is doing her thing in the Tomorrow War, I was there for all of that. And let me just say, Chris Pratt most of the time has been like, you know, a comic relief in some other films or a second banana, but he is a bona fide action film star all day long in the Tomorrow War. I was there for all of him in this too. And, you know, Tom Cruise gonna have to take a seat, honey, because Chris Pratt about to unseat him in the action superhero vein. The action sequences, some of them were a little long, but they were entertaining nonetheless. And I liked them. I love the movie. I did. I liked the CG and all the different kind of things that they did with it. But what I really loved, and this is another thing that I caught hell for on my Rotten Tomatoes review, I said, and I stand by what I said, usually when I see movies like this and there's Black people in them or Black people starring in them, they're killed within the first 10 minutes of the film. And I'm like, what happened? Like that film that I reviewed not too long ago that had T.I. in it, where he was dead within the first 5 minutes of the movie, but they were like starring T.I. T.I. was dead 10 minutes into the movie. So I said it was refreshing to see a film where the Black people weren't killed within the first 10 minutes. I was like, hip, hip, hooray. The Black people gonna make it all the way through the end, or at least close to the end anyway. That's what I meant. It wasn't meant to be racial. It wasn't meant to be insensitive. It wasn't meant to be rude. It was just based on an observation that I made yet again, spouting my opinion. So get over yourselves and just, you know, look, you can take or leave my opinion. I really don't care, but I'm allowed to give that opinion. So there's that, right? Yes, Michael B., you know I'm going to tell him all day long because I ain't got time for that. And I hate that too. It's like, look, you don't have to agree with me. You don't even have to like what I said, but I have the right to say what I said. And I stand by what I said. And I'm not going to flip flop and change what I said just because you didn't like what I said and you trying to make it something racial. And it's not anything racial. It's just me as a Black person who watches a lot of movies with white people in them where the Black people get killed. That's it, period, end of story. Boom. All right. Now that I've said that and gotten that out of the way, I've talked here before about a documentary that I saw called My Name is Pauli Murray, and about how salty I was that I didn't know who this woman was. Pauli Murray was a graduate of Howard University, and I graduated from Howard University. I was like, how did I not know who this woman was? But of course, it would take Julie Cohen and Betsy West to bring her to my attention. Those two women are the Oscar nominated directors behind RBG. So I had a chance to sit down and talk to Julie. I kind of love myself some Julie because she's just the bomb.com. And, you know, here at the Curvy Critic, I always support and I try to uplift as many women filmmakers as I possibly can because they have an important, strong, bona fide voice that I don't feel gets amplified enough. So having said that, take a look and a listen to this interview with my girl, Julie Cohen, talking about My Name is Pauli Murray. I remember tweeting out after I saw it at Sundance, talking about how pissed off I was, the fact that I didn't know who Pauli Murray was as a graduate of Howard University. And wow. Pauli got a law degree from Howard. So right. I was like, how do I not know who this person is? So having said all of that, how did you and Betsy come to find out about Pauli?
Yes, well, we found out about Pauli Murray in kind of the best way possible, which was directly from Ruth Bader Ginsburg when we made the film RBG.
Oh, wow.
As we talk about in My Name is Pauli Murray, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as a young lawyer in 1971, put Pauli Murray's name as a co-author on a brief that RBG was writing for the US Supreme Court, arguing that women should have equality under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Now, Pauli Murray was not literally an author of that brief, but Pauli, this lawyer and activist and poet and amazing person that a lot of people haven't heard about, actually did develop that idea before RBG had it, developed the idea that you could use the Constitution and the 14th Amendment specifically for gender equality, not just racial equality. RBG had read Pauli's work and said, you know, this is such an important contribution to these ideas that I'm arguing that Pauli deserves a credit as co-author. It's not something that a lot of lawyers were doing at the time or do now, to start listing co-authors when they don't have to really attribute the ideas. You know, but RBG did that. We saw that on the brief. We're like, oh, who's this Pauli Murray person? Like, but truthfully, we talked about it a little maybe, but didn't get too into it until after RBG was released and people were sort of starting to tell us how hungry they were to hear more about contributions that have been made to the history of American law and activism that we don't all know about. And that led us to looking more into Pauli and every amazing thing that Pauli accomplished in a lifetime.
Speaking of accomplishments, how did you all find Pauli's, I think it's the executor of her estate, Karen Ross Rouse? Is that her, how you pronounce her name, Rouse?
Karen Rouse Ross.
Rouse Ross. I inverted it.
Who is
dyslexia kicked in?
Who is Pauli's grandniece and the executress of Pauli's estate. They were close in life. Obviously, Pauli was elderly when Karen was a young woman. But you know, we connected with Pauli's estate through an agent that represents the estate and represents an author named Patricia Bell Scott, who also had written a book about Pauli Murray. And they led us to Karen, who you know, was a fantastic resource and connection to have, because, you know, she knew Pauli not as some monumental historical figure, but as a human being who she was really close to. So
Pauli was denied admission to UNC Chapel Hill. Here we are in November 2020, and it's the same thing happening again. When do you think they're finally going to get on the train and go, you know what? You don't have to be a certain gender or a certain race to pursue an education.
UNC just said to Pauli, when Pauli applied for, it was for a graduate program in sociology, UNC sent back a letter saying like, yeah, I'm sorry, but like people of your race, and literally used that phrase, like that's not, you know, the constitution of our state, and like and the university, our policies, yeah, we just don't look at people of your race. Like we won't even consider you, forget it. PAULI was rightfully and understandably outraged by this. And then some years later, when PAULI was trying to go to Harvard Law School, where PAULI rightfully so PAULI went to Howard Law School and graduated first in the class. Howard at that point had a tradition where there was a fellowship that went to the #1 student at Howard, where they automatically would be accepted into Harvard Law School for a master's program for like the next step up in law. And in that case, Harvard wrote PAULI a letter and said, yeah, you know, based on your picture and your prefix, which was Miss, like we don't take, we won't take your kind because you're a woman. Now, of course, PAULI, as the film goes into, was a gender non-conforming person who by today's standards would be either a trans man or non-binary. We're not entirely sure how PAULI would identify, but was identifying in the world and was self-presenting at that time as a woman. So Harvard was like, no women. UNC was like, no African Americans. And as one of our great talkers in the film, Professor Brittany Cooper from Rutgers says, like, every institution is keeping PAULI away of things that not only that she wants, but that she absolutely rightfully deserved for these arbitrary and really foolish reasons. This is someone who went to the trouble to preserve the records, not only the paperwork and the diaries and the legal papers, but also beautiful vintage photographs, dozens of hours of audio tape, and even some videotape. PAULI, like, the world may not have been ready for PAULI, but PAULI was ready to face future generations. Yeah, PAULI went to a lot of trouble, saved everything, and took it to an archive, or had grandniece Karen bring it to the archive, the Schlesinger Library at Harvard, to preserve it for future generations to see and find. And
Julie, it's so wonderful to talk to you and to see you. I hope the next time that we have a conversation, it is in person, and, you know, maybe on another rooftop somewhere.
I was going to say on a rooftop in LA. That's where I want to meet. I think there might have been some nice snacks there. So
there was some nice snacks and cocktails, and you know I'm always good for a snack and a cocktail.
Excellent.
Thanks, Julie.
Great to see you.
I love Julie Cohen. I love talking to her. And when we were on that rooftop that time, we keyed for a minute. Yes, Michael B. I did do a mic drop because I'm about tired of folk messing with me. It's like, go troll and mess with somebody else. I did want to tell y'all about something that I did, though, before we get up out of here. I haven't been out that often during COVID and during the pandemic, or even since the restrictions lifted, but I did take some time out to go to the Summer of Soul. I went to see the Summer of Soul screening outside in Griffith Park at the Greek Theater. So it kind of wasn't really at the Greek Theater. It was kind of next door to the Greek Theater on this big piece of grass. And they had these woven mats laid out with pillows, and they gave us a meal, and Questlove came out and he was spinning before the film and after the film. And then we watched the film. If you're not familiar with Summer of Soul, it also dropped this past week. It is a documentary directed by Questlove. It is on Hulu, streaming on Hulu. And it is about this concert that took place in Harlem around the same time that Woodstock happened, that basically was forgotten. The footage was filmed. I mean, the concert was filmed. The footage sat in this man's basement for 50 years until Questlove got a hold of it and spliced it together and made a really wonderful film out of it. It's getting a lot of heat. It's been at all the major festivals. It's been very well received, and I had a really good time. So Thank you, Angelique Jackson from Variety, for inviting me to that. I had a wonderful time. It was kind of nice to get out and see some people. I also want to remind y'all, it is Shark Week, y'all. It is Shark Week. Ah, I hate sharks. But it is Shark Week. So let me just acknowledge and admonish that. Is happening all week, July of this week. Discovery Plus has a whole plethora of films for you to watch. They have the Shark Academy that's following 8 men and women on an intense six-week crash course to secure a coveted crew spot with shark scientist Dr. Riley Elliott's next great shark diving expedition. Tiffany Haddish is swimming with the sharks, y'all. She is hosting. So Tiffany said it was her fantasy to uncover the secrets of sharks sex sailing on the fanciest yachts, surrounded by friendly sea creatures and pampered by a handsome merman. Well, that's exactly what she's doing. And she's joined by Dr. Toby Daly Engel, Dr. Craig O'Connell, Alana Velicott for a very sharky wake-up call. Johnny Knoxville, aka from the Jackass crew, is sending Steve O, Chris Pontius, and new Jackass members on a Shark Week mission for the ages. So you want to check that one out. I think both of those are airing on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have country star Brad Paisley and JB Smoove meeting in the Bahamas to attract new fans. Sharks with Dr. Austin Gallagher. On Thursday, Dr. Pimple Popper is joining Shark Week. And I just want to say that my best shark films that I do like, I like films about sharks. I just don't like sharks. So I love Jaws. If you have never seen Jaws, you can stream it anywhere that's streaming for $3.99 on any streaming platform. Shark Tale you can watch on Peacock for free because it is part of the NBC Universal family. So you can stream that for free if you have a subscription. And of course, what would Shark Week be without Sharknado? Now, y'all know Sharknado was a lot going on, but I just wanted to make those suggestions about Jaws, Sharknado, and Shark Tale. I love Shark Tale because, as I say many times, anything where there's an animated baby or animated animals talking, I am down for all of it. So that's it, y'all, for this episode of Carla, this episode of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. Again, let me just reiterate what I have seen and what I'm suggesting that you see. Of course, Black Widow, which is streaming on Disney Plus and in theaters. Boss Baby Family Business, which is streaming via the Peacock channel, and it is in theaters. It's produced by NBC Universal. You should also check out Summer of Soul, which is now streaming on Hulu. The Tomorrow War, which is streaming on Amazon Prime Video. And I want you to check out We the People, which is streaming on Netflix. Get your new Schoolhouse Rock situation going on. But hold up, wait a minute. Let me tell you what's going down next week. Next week, and this is for you, Brandon, because what? You're going to see the new Space Jam Legacy. I'm going to the premiere tomorrow. So I will be back next week talking all things Space Jam. And Space Jam is celebrating its 25th anniversary. So it will be the Curvy Classic for next week. I'll be talking about Space Jam Legacy. I'll be reviewing Escape Room. And I have interviews. Okay, I'm going to crack my neck and roll my neck around for this one. Are you ready? Next week, as my guest, I'm going to have Shailene Woodley, Felicity Jones from a Netflix film called The Last Letter from Your Lover. Have so many things to say about that. I wanted to review the Naomi Osaka documentary, which is streaming on Netflix, but I'm under embargo, so I will hit that next week as well. And in a few weeks, I will have an exclusive one-on-one with the incomparable, multi-talented, multi-hyphenated Lee Grant. So if this is your first time joining me, please give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. Click that bell for notifications. If you are on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, y'all. I'm trying to get to them. I'm trying to get over that 1,000 hump, so a sister can get paid. So help me get there. And as usual, please stay safe. Please wash your hands. Be vigilant so that we don't have to, be shut down in the house again because of this Delta variant. And thank you so much for popping in. Michael B., Kenneth, Brandon, Rob Potoff, anybody else whose names that I missed. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching and supporting me. I wholeheartedly appreciate it. And I will see you next time. So until the next time, love, peace, and hair grease. And you know what? You know what? Deuces. Bye.